Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in the Twin Cities, it's time for Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Radio. Now, here's your host.
And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Radio. I'm John Ray, and wow, I have been looking forward to this one. Amalia Moreno-Damgaard is with us, and Amalia is an old friend. She's been on the show before. Amalia, welcome.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me. It's great to be back.
Hey, it's great to have you back. For those that don't know you, let's give an introduction and get them caught up with everyone else that already knows you. Give a little bit of overview of you and your work.
I'd be happy to. I am Amalia Moreno-Damgaard. I am a chef, entrepreneur, and award-winning author. I help organizations of all sizes develop a broader understanding and appreciation of Latin cultural nuances through healthy gourmet cuisine, as well as through consulting and speaking engagements.
Great work that you do. You have, since you came on last, and you were on last May, I think it was, and at that time we were talking about your first book, but since then you've released a second book. So let's tell everyone about your second book.
Yes. So in October of last year, I published my second book, Amalias Mesoamerican Table, Ancient Culinary Traditions with Gourmet Infusions. And I am doing a lot of activities around that, a lot of media and in-person activities. Getting ready to go to Las Vegas this weekend to present it, and have done many presentations here in the Twin Cities, in the media and in person as well.
That's terrific. Now, how does this cookbook, and it's really more than a cookbook. It's really about, as you say, cultural education and using food to do that, right?
Yes. So that is my core: food and culture and history education. So you're right. It's more about than just recipes. Just recipes is good. It's good.
Oh yeah.
But I think it makes it more interesting when you know the history behind the recipes. And for me, it's a closer connection because I have personal anecdotes connected to each recipe because I have traveled this region. So to expand a little bit on the book, Mesoamerica is the region of Central America connected to the southern part of Mexico. So it encompasses part of Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, El Salvador, Honduras, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Panama. And it is a very unique part of the world because it's center of agriculture, a center of origin, and a center of many of the ingredients that spread from there to the rest of the world that you may be familiar with: tomatoes, chocolate, avocados, and the list goes on and on. So they are very unique spices as well that are native to this region that makes the cuisine very rich. It's a multicultural, multi-ethnic area as well. That goes back thousands and thousands of years. So the traditions that have been there for millennia have stayed there and have been carried out and continue to be carried out by the indigenous people and the people that live there in the area.
You know, you said something there that I think is important to expand on, Amalia, is that you mentioned this is a multicultural, multi-ethnic area. And I'm not sure that those of us in the United States, those of us that are not from there, appreciate that. Dive more into that, if you would.
Yes, of course. So this is an area where ancient civilizations have existed. This is an area where these ancient civilizations have left the very deep roots that continued to be practiced throughout the region, but also that have left a legacy and have left an influence forever. So I'm talking about the Olmecs. They were considered the mother civilization. Other civilizations that followed after them is the Aztecs and the Mayas that many people are probably very familiar with. But perhaps what they may not be familiar with is the legacy that spread from a region that went all the way down as far as South America. Because being a center of agriculture, many of these ingredients and perhaps seeds travel with this early peoples through exchange, and they also exchange a lot of information, and the information included culinary traits and culinary recipes as well. But besides the three major civilizations that I mentioned, there are many in the Central America region that people may not be familiar with. And this is the Central America contemporary indigenous peoples of today. Mm-hmm. Many of them, which might be descendants of the Maya, but there are other unique groups that are not connected to the bigger groups as well. So it is a region rich in customs, in traditions, and it's very rich in food that people still don't know much about. And that is one of the reasons why I decided to create this book, because there is so much that unites us, and there is so many ingredients that are staples to the region that people might be familiar with, but there might be different interpretations by country and by region of dishes that may have similarities by name or by actual, how the recipe is made, but each one is very unique. And that is one of the reasons I do what I do, to help people develop a broader understanding, not only of the cultures, but also of the cuisines.
Now, Amalia, the subtitle of the book is Ancient Culinary Traditions with Gourmet Infusions. You talked about the ancient culinary traditions. Let's talk about the gourmet infusions. That's where you come in, right?
Yes, I come in. So I am a graduate of Le Cordon Bleu, but I grew up in Guatemala. I learned the ropes of the kitchen with my maternal grandmother. And when we grow up in Latin America, the traditional way, how we learn how to cook with our grandmothers, our mothers, is by doing. We don't necessarily follow recipes. We pass recipes and dishes from generation to generation, and we learn by observing. We learn by going to the market. We learn by just being there and being in the environment. But what's most important is this sazon that we learn very early on. And sazon means seasoning, and that relates to the proper seasoning of foods. So what that means is that when you're cooking something and you're learning by doing, you're stirring and you're tasting and you're adjusting flavors as you go. So this was my base. And when I came to the United States, I had a very strong desire to continue this tradition, this legacy, because part of my work is that fostering tradition so that our recipes and our beautiful culture is not lost in future generations. So with this base, I wanted to take this to the next level, and that's when I decided to join Le Cordon Bleu. And Le Cordon Bleu is a school that is well known, that goes back to 1895, and it's a French school that has the classic French techniques that are practiced in restaurants around the world. So it is a common language, a common denominator in kitchens that not only help you make cooking more efficient, but also help you create recipes or follow recipes and produce equal results every time. In addition to that, you also learn how to present a a recipe or a dish in a beautiful way. So it goes from an ordinary dish to an extraordinary dish. And why is that important? Because if the food looks good, it looks attractive to you, you're more inclined to eating it.
For sure. That makes perfect sense to me. Amalia Moreno-Damgaard is our guest today. She's the author of Amalia's Mesoamerican Table, which is her second book. I want to emphasize that. So if you're not familiar with the first book, which is Amalia's Guatemalan Kitchen, you need to check that one out as well. So Amalia, if I can ask a personal question, I just wonder what your maternal grandmother would think about you and where you are right now and what you have done with her legacy. Really, you've taken her legacy and made it into something beautiful.
Yes, thank you for that question, because my maternal grandmother has been very special to me, and she continues to be. She's my North Star, by the way. She's my light. And I am sure that she sees me from up there, wherever she is.
Yeah.
And what she would think, I would say that I don't think she realized the impact that she made on me. I don't think she realized that she not only influenced me in producing beautiful, delicious, and home style and traditional meals, but she also influenced me because she was an entrepreneur herself. And when I say this is that I helped her. She had a variety store in the town that she lived that catered to the needs of the town, and it was an eclectic store, John. So she sold candles and sugar and salt and shoes, and she made dresses. She also sold fabric, buttons, and threads, and she even sold horse gear. So a great variety of things. And market days were Thursdays and Sundays. And during the market days, her store would be filled with people. So she always needed help. So this is where I saw her in action as an entrepreneur, that she ran the store. She had suppliers. She dealt with the suppliers. She extended credit to her clients, and sometimes they would pay her back with a chicken, or they would pay her back with a turkey if they didn't have the means to pay her back. She was a good person. So that's another thing that I think that she influenced me on, the need to support and to help others. And I do that here in the Twin Cities through board service, mostly in nonprofit organizations.
You do, that's for sure. Now, Amalia, one of the things that strikes me about your book is it's not just illustrated; it is lavishly illustrated, and I think that's so important for someone, particularly that wants to try to execute some of these recipes themselves. And it's a cuisine that they're unfamiliar with, and you're trying to educate folks that are not familiar with this cuisine. But you've given a great photographs, step-by-step instructions all throughout your book.
Yes, so thank you for bringing that up, because the book contains a picture for every recipe. And I wanted to make sure I did that because it's so important to connect the ingredients to the food. Because for people that are not familiar with the cuisine, if they've never had it before, they have no idea what they're looking for. My recipes are also tested. So when you make them, they're going to work. And then if you have a picture to go with them, you know how you want to present them. In addition to that, my book has a reference of not only ingredients, a glossary of ingredients, but also techniques, healthy cooking techniques that makes the cuisine more approachable. it connects ancient techniques to modern techniques that I learned at Le Cordon Bleu to make the cooking faster and more efficient. So at Le Cordon Bleu, I learned a concept called mise en place, and that is basically organizing your kitchen, becoming familiar with the recipe, organizing your equipment, and preparing all the ingredients when you're getting ready to cook. This makes the cooking process more fun, more enjoyable, and more efficient. So you're just putting together a recipe and you're going to town with it. You're having a lot of fun with it because everything is laid out in front of you. So these are the techniques that are also contained in my book, in addition to a lot of tips to make the recipes easier, how to modify them to different diets. Latin American cuisine, Mesoamerican cuisine is rich in fruits, vegetables, and legumes. And why this is good is that many of the dishes are naturally either vegan or vegetarian and gluten-free because our staples, corn, beans, and squash, are naturally gluten-free. So it is a perfect cuisine to embrace, especially for those who have diet restrictions. And I am blessed. I don't have diet restrictions. I am attracted to eating all these dishes. I don't even think of them as vegan or vegetarian or gluten-free because to me, it's all delicious food. But when it comes time to answer questions or tell people about the cuisine, one good way to approach it is knowing that the food is inclusive of all diets and the food is easy. A lot of it is easy to make. Some of it, it's very exotic, especially in southern Mexico and Guatemala, but it is, for the most part, approachable and certainly conducive to cooking in a family setting.
Yeah, now you mentioned easy to cook, and that's where I was going next. Is for those of us who are armchair cooks and want to actually put the book aside and buy on the kitchen counter and actually dive in and start cooking. How hard are your recipes to execute?
Well, there are recipes that include drinks, appetizers, soups, vegetable dishes, stews and soups, and even desserts. And this time I even included breads, cookies, and a variety of baked items. So it depends in what department you are in the book. You are going to find levels of, I don't want to say difficulty, but levels of challenge that are different because making a drink is totally different than baking a cake, for example. But I will say for the most part, for what people would use the book every day, if they concentrate on using the book every day, would be for the vegetable dishes, the soups, the stews, and the everyday meals. Those are going to be fairly quick recipes. Some of them take 20 minutes, some of them may take 30, some of them may take less, especially in the rice category. So very approachable. And I am producing videos that are going to be helpful. I already have videos that showcase my cuisine in my previous book and in this cuisine because it's important for people to know the steps. But I have that in my list to do to make sure that when I present a recipe, that it's approachable, that it's easy, and that you can find the ingredients at your mainstream grocery store. And if there are unique ingredients, then you can easily buy them at your local Latin American store, or for the very, very unique ingredients, Perhaps you need to go online, but that is probably less than 1% of the ingredients in the book. For the most part, I want to encourage people to try a new cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
I want to encourage people to cook healthy, home-style meals, traditional meals. So I make the book approachable and easy to follow.
Wow. Well, I would encourage folks to pick up a copy of the book. We'll have links in the show page where you can go to Amalia's website or your online bookseller and check it out. But I would encourage you folks to check out her book. It's fantastic. And so, Amalia, thanks again for gracing us with your second book. Again, congratulations.
Well, thank you so much for having me, John. And I would like to invite the listeners to follow me on LinkedIn, Amalia Moreno-Damgaard, or on Instagram, where I share everyday tips, recipes, and all the activities that I am doing. And I thank you very much for having me today.
Well, I'm delighted to have you. I want to ask you one more question though before I let you go. Talk about 2022. What do you have ahead? You said you're going to be in Las Vegas, and you got a few other events planned.
Yes, so I have a list of activities that I have planned through pretty much the fall. Mm-hmm. And this weekend, I am going to Las Vegas to present the world of the Latino cuisine at the Caesars Convention Center. This is part of the National Grocers Association. So it is a very large event. And I am excited to present again the world of Latino cuisine, which is out of New Jersey. And they are part of this big event this year. So that's going to be this Sunday and Monday. And then I have appearances on TV. There's a new show here in the Twin Cities called Minnesota Live. I am going to be presenting there on the 25th of February. And then I have other appearances on Twin Cities Live, where I demonstrate easy, delicious recipes connected to my two books. So I have other in-person presentations. I'm glad to see that we are becoming more comfortable and things are easing up so that we can get together in person. So I'm starting to see the activity because I have received many invitations to present in person, and I'm excited about that as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's repeat your contact information for those that would like to be in touch. Let's give that to them one more time.
Yes, my website is amalialatingourmet.com. They can write to me at amalialatingourmet.com, or they can connect with me on LinkedIn at Amalia Moreno-Damgaard, or on Instagram on the same name.
That's terrific. Amalia, this has been fun. I'm just delighted to have you back. Congratulations on all your success and how you're serving folks and holding up your culture high. Congratulations on that work.
Thank you, John.
Folks, hey, just a quick reminder that Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Radio is on all the major podcast apps. I would love it. It's my personal request to you. Share the show if you like what you've heard from Amalia. It's not about me or Business RadioX. It's about celebrating our great guests like Amalia and the other great entrepreneurs that we've had on this show. So when you do that, it really helps them. And that's what we're here. That's what it's all about, is celebrating the great work of business leaders like Amalia and others that we've had on the show. So for my guest, Amalia Moreno-Damgaard, I'm John Ray. Join us next time here on Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Radio.